Okay, let's talk about something that drives so many of us crazy. You ever feel like you're doing everything right? You're eating clean, you're hitting the gym, but that stubborn fat around your middle just will not go away. It is so frustrating. Well, today we are going to pull back the curtain and look at the real science of what's going on.
So let's just get right to it, right? The big question, why is this one area so ridiculously hard to lose fat from? Well, I'll tell you this much. The answer is probably not what you think it is. You know, for years, we've all had the calories in, calories out mantra drilled into our heads. But when it comes to belly fat, that simple math just doesn't add up. The science, especially when you look at our hormones, tells a completely different and, honestly, a way more interesting story. And this right here, this is the absolute key to understanding everything. You have to realize that the fat in your midsection isn't all the same. There are different kinds of fat, and knowing the difference is the game changer.
So let's break this down. In this first part, we're going to look at the two very different types of fat that are camped out in your abdominal area. One of them is, well, it's mostly fine. But the other one? The other one is a real problem. So here it is, the big difference. You've got subcutaneous fat, that's the stuff right under your skin. You know, the fat you can actually pinch. For the most part, it's pretty harmless. It's just sitting there as stored energy. But then there's visceral fat. This is the stuff you can't see. It's hidden deep inside, and it's wrapped around your vital organs, your liver, your intestines, and it is anything but harmless. And this is why things get so dangerous. It leads to this phenomenon researchers have a name for, TOFI. It stands for thin outside, fat inside. It means you can look thin, have a totally normal BMI, and still be carrying a ton of this metabolically toxic visceral fat on the inside. It's proof that what you weigh on the scale can be a terrible measure of your actual health. Now, this is where the story gets really wild. That deep, visceral fat, it's not just sitting there taking up space. It's alive, it's active, it's literally functioning like its own organ, constantly sending out chemical messages that impact your entire body. The best way to picture this is to think of your visceral fat as a rogue endocrine organ. You know, like your thyroid gland? It's supposed to send out helpful hormones. But this fat? It's like a factory that's gone rogue, and it's pumping out all the wrong stuff. So what exactly is this rogue factory making? Well, it's churning out these nasty little molecules called pro-inflammatory cytokines. Think of them as constant, tiny alarm bells going off all over your body. They create this state of chronic, low-grade inflammation. It's not like when you sprain your ankle, it's like a low-level fire that's always burning, damaging your system 24/7. And all that inflammation creates this awful, vicious cycle. So first, that visceral fat starts dumping fatty acids right into your liver. Your poor liver gets overwhelmed and stops listening to the hormone insulin. So what does your pancreas do? It screams, "We need more insulin!" and starts working overtime. And here's the knockout punch. High levels of insulin act like a key, locking your fat cells shut. It literally tells your body to stop burning fat and start storing even more. You simply cannot burn that belly fat as long as your insulin is sky high. But it's not just this internal mess. What's happening in your daily life plays a massive role, and one of the biggest culprits is stress. Let's look at this hidden connection. Anytime you're stressed out, from work, from not sleeping enough, you name it, your body pumps out the stress hormone cortisol. And you can think of cortisol as a traffic cop for fat. It doesn't just tell your body to store fat, it points and tells your body exactly where to put it. And yeah, it has a favorite spot. Now, check this out. It turns out that those deep, visceral fat cells have 4 times more receptors for cortisol than the regular fat under your skin. 4 times. So what does that mean? It means when you're chronically stressed, your body gets a loud and clear signal. Hey, take this fat and pack it deep inside, right around the organs. And this right here, this is the answer to that skinny fat paradox. It explains why someone can be on a super strict diet, maybe they're even losing weight from their face and their arms, but that belly just seems to stick out more and more. It's not just calories. Their stress is literally directing fat storage to that one specific place. All right, so we've covered hormones and stress. Now we're gonna pivot to another player that honestly is just mind-blowing. The trillions of tiny bacteria living in your gut. It turns out they have a huge say in this. So your gut has all these different families of bacteria. 2 of the big ones are called firmicutes and bacteroidetes. What scientists are finding is that people with more of that dangerous visceral fat tend to have a lot more firmicutes. And here's why that matters.
Those particular bacteria are absolute pros at sucking every last calorie out of the food you eat. So 2 people could eat the exact same salad, but the person with the wrong gut-bug balance can literally absorb more calories from it, which then go on to feed that visceral fat. It's crazy. Okay, so we've seen the problem from all angles, right? The rogue fat organ, the insulin lock, the stress connection, the gut bugs. The reason the old advice doesn't work is because it ignores all of this. It's time for a completely new playbook, one that attacks the root cause. And let's just get one thing straight right now. You cannot do a million crunches and burn off belly fat. It is a biological impossibility. Spot reduction is a myth. The only way to lose that deep, dangerous visceral fat is to change the hormonal signals that are telling your body to put it there. So the real solutions have to target those hormones. Things like resistance training, lifting weights, builds muscle, which acts like a sponge for blood sugar and makes you way more insulin sensitive. Getting solid sleep helps manage cortisol. Eating more soluble fiber feeds those good gut bacteria we talked about. Cutting way back on fructose, especially from sugary drinks, gives your liver a break. And things like strategic fasting can be an incredibly powerful way to lower your overall insulin levels and finally unlock those fat cells. So how do you know where you stand? Forget the scale for a second and just grab a measuring tape. It's super simple. Measure your waist right around your belly button, then measure your hips at their widest point. Now, just divide the waist number by the hip number. If you're a man and that number is over 0.90, or you're a woman and it's over 0.85, that's a pretty strong clue that you might have too much visceral fat, no matter what you weigh.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. For so long, we've been taught to be obsessed with that number on the bathroom scale. But after everything we've just gone through, you really have to ask yourself, is this scale telling you the real story, or is a simple measuring tape telling you something far more important about what's actually going on inside your body?